Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Good Hang. I'm so excited about our episode today. It is with the sweet, dreamy, and brilliantly smart Natasha Lyonne. We talk about so many things today. It is a symphony of conversation. We talk about what it was like to live in New York City as a young kid. We talk about Nora Ephron and how important she was to Natasha. We talk about making hits together and what it felt like to be part of a show that meant so much to us and to so many people. And so it is a really interesting, funny, and deep conversation, like it always is with Natasha. And to be guided as to what I should ask, I always like to check in with people who know Natasha well, who have worked with her, who count her as family. And so I asked two of Natasha's closest friends to join me and give me some questions to ask. And so joining me right now via Zoom is Ronan Farrow, journalist, podcast host of the new podcast, Not a Very Good Murderer, and playwright, actor, screenwriter, and creative director of the Williamstown Theater Festival, the great Jeremy O. Harris. Ronan, Jeremy, hello. This episode is presented by Athleta. Summer is here. It's time to get outside and get active. And Athleta has just what women need to move the way they want. That's shorts for every type of run, from a casual jog on the beach to a competitive road race. There's skirts for on the court and pants for cool stretching. And there's always a matchback bra and top to complete your outfit. For stylish, innovative activewear, the choice can only be Athleta. Power of she. Shop now at athleta.com. First of all, let me start. Where am I talking to you? Where are you, Jeremy, in the world?
Oh my God, I don't want to embarrass myself, but I'm trying to get a very popular actress to do a movie I'm producing. So I'm still with her at Jack's Wife's Frida with the director, and I'm in the bathroom of Jack's Wife's Frida on University.
Oh my, so you're in the bathroom of a restaurant trying to secure an actress for a project.
Yes, I'm a girl boss like you, and I'm just trying to make sure all my side hustles flourish.
Very, very good. I love it. Always hustling, always moving forward, never looking back. Perfect. And then Ronan, where are you?
I'm in my home office on the Lower East Side, not trying to convince a glamorous actress of anything right now. But the day is young. I could find an actress to try to persuade in some way.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm going to try to keep up here. Jeremy's a lot to keep up with.
I mean, I have so many questions, and I hope, by the way, that both of you come on so I can get in depth about what you're both. I mean, you're both such interesting, brilliant people. And I guess my question is, what, when you think about Natasha and you think about her in the world, a person in the world, like how would you describe who Natasha is as a person and a friend?
Jeremy, you want to start?
I would say she has more intellect in her left pinky than most departments of major universities have. She is truly and yet she has this great ability of making you feel like the biggest star ever, even at your lowest. So it's like wild intelligence and wild generosity combined into this sort of atomic bomb of like the ideal friend.
That's so well said. Ronan?
My sense as kind of a broken person from a broken home in some ways myself is that runs very deep, and you know her deeply, and so I think you could ask her about that on a profound level, where she is searching for a sense of family and successfully creating it. I mean, that's the main thing that I would add to this conversation. Natasha, for all the ways she's like riotously fun and eclectic in the things she does and the people she surrounds herself with, and it's a wild ride being around her. She is family to those dear to her. And like I really became more deeply close with her in a period of my life where I was at a low point, and she didn't even really have a way of knowing that, but I was like profoundly broken and lonely. And all of a sudden we went from being acquaintances to her being like every night, come dinner time, Jeremy's very familiar with this. So you'll get a text from her being like, "What are we doing? Who are we screwing?" And then it's like Natasha's wild circus, is off to the races. And through that persistence and that kind of like lack of traditional boundaries, she's not indiscriminately that way, but when she decides like, no, this is a real one, and I want to give them my emotional space and time, it's such a gift because she really like pulled me out of a moment of isolation and gave me a meaningful sense of family. And all of a sudden we went from like 0 to 11 being like spending the holidays together, and I was like bringing her to meet my family. We were going on vacation, sometimes with Jeremy. It is a real gift, and it's something that I've learned from. Like, if you, in our busy lives, with all these different distractions and things going on that prevent reflection and prevent deeper community sometimes, if you can do what Natasha Lyonne does to the people you love around you and just like keep at them and make it happen, I think that is actually the most meaningful way we can form community in a time when we really need it. We really need it individually. We really need it as a country. So Natasha's the answer to everything. In conclusion.
Wait, Ronan, see, this is why it's so annoying that you went second, because I would have made mine better had I known that you were going to give literally a mini
Yeah,
essay
screw
on
Jeremy's
the
superficial bullshit answer.
the community building. And
Okay, what you guys seem to be to her, tell me if I'm wrong, is there's a very fraternal energy with you and Natasha. Like, do you feel like her brother, her wife, her lover, her mother? Like, what if this is a family, who are you to her?
In the many group chats, I'll send that clip of Oprah talking about Gayle King where she's like, "She is the mother I never had. She is the sister everybody wants. She is the friend none of us deserve." She is all of those things.
And that's why I think she's been the ideal, sort of like egg donor for my future sperm, which is something Ronan and I have fought over, like who gets to take the Natasha eggs. I think that in a society where eugenics is becoming back in fashion, Natasha and I would make super babies, as would she and Ronan.
Oh,
so
that is so true. That's a future.
A Jeremy Natasha baby would be
gorgeous.
It's
a beautiful future world we can all envision right now in our heads. Amazing, amazing. Also, I want to change this podcast to just Jeremy walking through the streets of New York and us following.
Yes. Wait, what's happening with your actress while you're strolling?
I'm so sorry. She's outside having a cigarette with the director, and I thought they were leaving.
Just pan to her, just so we can see her.
Yeah, spill the tea, Jeremy.
Who's she? I can't until she says yes. I can't let you know. But
you've got to put a post-production coda on this episode.
Yeah,
Amy.
I will.
Okay,
I will.
if we get her involved, please. But for right now, we're just going to change her face into a cat, and we'll reveal it if she says yes. Thank you both so much. I have to say that one of the nicest things about this is the feedback I get from guests who feel very seen and loved when we ask people who love them to join. So I have no doubt that Natasha is going to be so thrilled that we talked because, like you said, she's a connector. And I think she's just going to So I thank you, and on behalf of Natasha, I thank you for jumping on today. I know you're both so busy. Thank you so much.
I really love her. I hope it was helpful, did her justice in whatever small way I can, because she's important to me. She's been a real lifeline to me.
Yeah, I love her too. I love her too.
Thank you so much, Amy. You're the best.
Thank you so much, cuties.
So cool.
Is it
hand
a
me
Velcro?
Hand me the necklace.
Honey, it's so tight.
It's so tight. And also, I want to put it in that's what she said.
If you want to know anything about the history of Russian doll, the tightest vaginas in the game came together.
We're with Natasha Lyonne. She's joining us
read,
now. That's right.
Brief history of time. It's like Stephen Hawking said, the universe expands and contracts. And that's what you need to know about women in cinema.
And nobody can get from vagina to Stephen Hawking faster than Natasha Lyonne.
Right.
So Natasha Lyonne, you're here. Mm-hmm. We have known each other for quite a while now. I would say coming up on maybe 20 years in some way.
I would say maybe coming up on 30, which is an exercise I'm not proud to have recently done with our friend Clea Duvall. Clea directs this season. Last season, she played my sister. She's my best friend. A big crush on Poehler. Forever. And rightfully so. Put me in a sandwich. Everyone's married. That's not how it works, guys. Fantasy. So Clea
Yeah.
is directs this season. Does a great job. No spoilers, but she does direct Method Man, who's my favorite. No
Oh,
offense.
Fantastic.
I mean,
we
have the same sense of humor.
The guest list on that show is incredible. I have an image of you, a memory of you coming by UCB, and of course I knew who you were. And I have this image of you being like, at the time, feeling like you were seeming and presenting quite shy, like gentle and shy. Like we didn't really.
I was stoned.
Oh yeah.
I don't smoke pot anymore.
Yeah.
And I was probably drunk. And I haven't had a drink in 20 years.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking about it
Yeah.
today.
So we met. Do you remember when we first met?
So our friend, Jake Fogelnest.
Yes.
So
Jake
I was
Fogelnest.
like 16.
You were 16 then?
I was 16 and Jake Fogelnest was 16.
Wow.
When I was 15, he's very popular now. Have you heard of Woody Allen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I did this film called Everyone Says I Love You.
Mm-hmm.
Woody Allen was my dad. Goldie Hawn was my mother. I finally felt seen. Thanks to that on-set tutor, I discovered the Surrealist movement, Apocalypse Now, Heart of Darkness. I mean, so many things changed through that tutor. Anyway, I was 15, left behind with a guardian because my mom was well. And so I lived underneath or on the ground floor, so I guess adjacent to Curry in a Hurry, which is on 28th and Lexington. And this woman, she was a criminal attorney. Her name was Ruth. She worked at an office with Jake Fogelnest's dad. As criminal attorneys at law, I'm guessing it was called. And for some reason, it was like, oh, both these kids are like 15, 16. And Jake had that show on, was it MTV?
Yeah, he had like an MTV show where he was like a young fan interviewing like the Beastie Boys.
Yeah. Bjork.
Yep, he had really good guests. And Jake is a really sweet, tender, learned guy who liked a lot of things and liked showing that he was enthusiastic about a lot of things and was a writer and creator at a young age.
And so sort of the basis for Wayne's World, if you've ever seen. So Wayne's World is about these two guys. But he was kind of the basis of that, like, sort of a public what's it called?
Public access.
Public access show in his mom's bedroom as a kid. So he was sort of like this, young prodigy. I was doing this movie. We were introduced. And the point is that Jake was a comedy. Like, I was never a comedy nerd. I would say I'm still not, frankly. I just, but he was sort of my gateway drug. And so he was the one that knew about UCB. He was the one that was bringing me to SNL. And I think that I was about 16.
Wow,
right?
So you were 16. Yeah, because I do remember a sweet and, like a younger, quieter version of you then. And I remember you coming around with these big eyes and like observing a lot of stuff that was happening there and being very sharp and funny and everyone loving your work already but you being like just even back then when you're in the room, people want to head towards you like moth to flame. You have a electricity about you. And you did then, and I remember that.
And you're really taking me back. Like I'm pausing and taking us to McManus, right?
I want to take a minute because I remember that. And also it was like, it takes me back to a much younger time too. We were like, we were only a few years apart, but it felt like we were, I don't know. I felt like an older
Well, because
sibling.
to me, you felt like just this rock star. Just because, first of all, I've never been a stage person. So figure I've been, acting since I'm 4. I just turned 21. 46. And so at that point, I had been a child actor. I'd been on Pooh's Playhouse.
Yeah.
Very famously. I was Dennis the Menace's babysitter and Dennis the Menace. Okay, not that famous. Christopher Lloyd and Walter Matthau were there. Didn't know who I was. Small part. So I'm just saying, I always say this to like Christina Ricci or Macaulay Culkin. I'm like, yeah, but you guys were child stars. I was a child character actor.
I see. Yeah, that is different. You're right. That is different.
Yeah. So I wasn't really like exposed at that level, but emotionally, the kind of tether that we all have, or Haley Joel Osment is this season in Poker Face Peacock. So he is also a child star. Yeah. There's like this unspoken way that we look at each other in the eyes, and we're just like, I know that you have been alert and awake since you were 4 years old, and so have I.
Mm-hmm.
It's so specific. It's eerie.
Mm.
Because it's like, that means I was doing the family taxes at 12 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, there's a lot that goes along with that
Yeah.
of paying the bills, being alert, knowing how to like present
Yeah.
to adults.
Yeah. There's a big price to pay for that. And also access that you get at an age that you may or may not be ready for.
It's a long way of saying, by the time I'd seen you on stage doing like ASCAT, I was in shock just because my life had been like, I'd done 60 commercials and I had been for 3 seconds on screen and As the World Turns, some episodes of Pee-wee's Playhouse, some weird movies I made, but like you just bounded up there. Even your show recently with Tina, it's sort of this thing that I was just like, what is this activity? Because I was not a theater person. I've never taken an acting lesson. You know what I mean? So it was like, what is this weird, like athletic sport of confidence where it's just
so much running?
Well, it's just that it's inside of you. Like I think I learned so much from you and from Fred about that. This like abundance idea of an endless supply. Probably I think that you guys get from dress rehearsal at SNL, where you throw out genius ideas and just move on to the next day instead of lingering on something like a diary entry. Oh my God, I wrote a sentence.
Yes, it's funny you say that. I do feel that one of the things about that training is you can't believe that your good idea is your last good idea.
Yeah.
And in fact, throwing it away is like a power move to remind you that the next good idea is right behind it. You cannot get too precious about anything. And you get athletic in terms of like practicing coming up with an idea. Because I'm at a point now, I don't know about you, but I feel like sometimes we make the idea king, and I'm much more into people and process. I think an idea is what it is. It can be shined to be this beautiful idea. It can be totally dull in the wrong hands. But an idea is not as important. A concept is not as important as people and process for me.
I hear you. Like, and it's so much so that in that whole exercise they do in pitch meetings of why now or something,
Yeah.
or like what's it about? It's kind of like, hey, babe, so just so you know, Amy and I could make a show right now about this pair of sunglasses. It doesn't fucking matter. And the reason why now is because where you and I are at in this moment emotionally, that it is, saucy for us, or to use your word, juicy,
Yeah.
right? We'll make this pair of sunglasses go live on that story. And, it's but a prop for our kind of inner nowness or something of what we find interesting. And it'll be filmed in either black and white or color or, on 16 or AI generate. Who gives a fuck? Like, it's really going to be about where we're at emotionally. It's not actually, it's all in the execution and the human beings that you're doing it with. It's not actually the idea.
That's right. When you talk about young Tosh, can you give me a little, like a snapshot of young Natasha in New York City walking around? Like, what did it look like when you were 7, 8, 9, walking around? What did your New York look like? Where were you?
She's thinking to herself, and this is where I get mixed up, okay? Because I couldn't tell you if I've seen too many movies dusted, not on PCP, on dust. Have you guys ever just tried raw dust? You go to the film forum, you just put your fingers along the side of the seat, and you just wave it gently in your periphery.
Just dust, New York dust.
Oh man, that's just New York pure dust. It's not even a Have you guys ever snorted ether? It's crazy. So anyway, I couldn't tell you
Okay.
if it was De Niro in Taxi Driver or it was me in Times Square as a 7-year-old is what I'm trying to say, Amy Poehler.
I want it, but I
remember being left behind at various castings. In my mind, there's this alcoholic figure. Let's call him Dad. And I'm there. I'm at an audition, or like, I was a child model. That's probably why I pose so well now.
We get to it.
I was a Ford model.
There we
at like
go. Okay,
6.
that's
okay?
it. Yeah.
Later, I moved to close-ups. I remember him casting rooms in Midtown.
Mhm.
Also, my mother,
Mhm.
Paul Rubens, so lovingly said to me when he took me to a steak dinner in the Valley after rehab. He said to me, "Oh, Natasha, don't worry about it. I was never shocked when things went south. You're going to be okay." but it was inevitable. You got to remember, I met your mother. So it was a real comfort for me that there was a witness to that time in my life.
Mm-hmm.
The only other one I really have is, I guess I have Gabby Hoffman and Natalie Portman and Lucas Haas, because they were also in that Woody Allen movie, where already I had a guardian.
Right.
And by the way, my mom is awesome, and so is my dad. Like they're really like brainy, wonderful people. I would just say that the big discovery of modern times is we have treated versus untreated mental health, addiction, whatever. Like now, that's the revelation. It's like there's no shame in whatever your mental health or, addiction or whatever else. It's about, are you treated or untreated? Like, are you experiencing a cycle of shame where you refuse to get help for it? Or are you doing your best, in the day you're in, one day at a time, to kind of address it? I just think they didn't know. Like, honestly, I think it was the 80s. There was a lot of cocaine around. And I just think that was the best they could do.
Yeah.
I forgive them for it. Cut to the end of the story, I do recall a lot of me in Midtown, sort of like I'd go into the audition or the modeling, casting, commercial, or print. And when I came out, sort of like, where are they? You know what I mean? And sort of like walking around Midtown. And this is where I can't remember if it's me or De Niro in Taxi Driver. Because now it's such a cleaned up hood with Disney. Back then, there was a lot of...
It was a lot of stuff.
So I remember being kind of like streetwise.
Yeah.
Because like if you just sort of, you had to, kids, we didn't have cell phones. And we didn't even necessarily know how to use a Yellow Pages. You just had to sort of like know how to kind of sit still and have a sense of where they might reappear.
Right. And be big and small at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And know how to like, there's this De Niro quote that I read about getting recognized in New York. He's like, I'm a professional. If I want to get recognized and I need a seat at a restaurant, I just, put on my De Niro face, throw my shoulders back, and I'm a famous guy. And if I want to walk through Manhattan and have some peace of mind, I just disappear into myself and I become part of the wall,
Yeah.
So for some reason that really resonated with me. And I think even as a kid, I sort of learned how to do that, of sort of like, I need help versus I'm in Midtown Manhattan, so I need to disappear into myself.
Yeah.
So, there's no human trafficking.
Yes.
Essentially.
So we do this thing on the show where we talk to people before our guest comes who may know them or like be fans of theirs or have some, experience being in their lives, to kind of like talk well behind their back. And they also give me questions they think I should ask you. So we spoke to Ronan and Jeremy just about an hour ago.
Okay.
About you.
Uh-oh. Did they tell you that I tried to get semen from both of them because I had a fantasy about having 13 children?
They're fighting over your eggs currently. They both said.
I know. Good
Congrats,
luck to them.
by the way. But wait, so Ronan and Jeremy, of course, they dearly, dearly love you, as do I. And we talked a lot about how you have this way in which you bring people together, right? You really want to create a group, a family, in the way you bring people together. And, Ronan wanted me to ask you, which is like, do you feel that way? Like you're collecting family when you bring people into your life?
So just to say, like, because I have this wacky family of origin story where, like, just, the facts are they just simply don't exist. You know what I mean? Like, they exist in my mind's eye, harrowing degrees. You and I made a whole show about it. Jeremy and I recently finished a script, Jeremy O'Harris, and I recently, he's a very, the most Tony-nominated playwright.
Incredible.
Yeah. And anyway, we just finished something, and I was like, holy shit, fiction. We and I was like, because you and I have spent so much time sort of, I've spent so much time doing self-referential bits. But
what did that feel like to write some story, a fictional story?
It was incredible. Like when I sent it out to, when I sent the email out, I was like sitting at home and I was texting Chloe, and it was like 4 a.m. So she was up with Vanya, in New York at 7 a.m. for her. Me, I was in the middle of the night. my hands were cramped. Had like full carpal tunnel. And I, of course, there's a few of you guys that really changed my life. It's like you and Nora Ephron and Genji Cohen and Cindy Holland and like these kind of like powerhouse women that just sort of like appeared in, the top of Act 2 of my life and said, listen, bitch, you're a writer. You're a world builder. Let's go. And I was like, no. So Nora and I were very close. I did her we would play poker together and stuff like that. But my hands, and I looked and I texted Chloe and I was like, I think maybe I just sort of morphed into a type of Nora because I kicked out this, fiction pilot that Jeremy and I wrote together. But it was like, I was in Los Angeles alone with a dog in bed at like 4 a.m., just kind of as a showrunner person, kind of correcting typos and synthesizing and, making sure it was ready to get PDF'd.
Yeah.
And I could feel my hands. And I was like, the spirit of Nora was sort of in me in that moment.
Cool.
Because remember how she was like this
Well, so I
little
never
New York lady.
met Nora.
You never met her?
No. What was she like? I would have loved.
Amy.
I know. Would have.
She was a real Amy Poehler.
Oh, what a nice thing to say, Tosh.
I mean, Nora was like revolutionary. But, I remember, so my first gig, Heartburn, I'm just an extra, asleep on a lap. Maybe Jack Nicholson and Meryl Streep were getting married or something. That means Mike Nichols picked me from a picture. It was a big deal in my house. No lines. And then about maybe when I was like 30, so that was probably I was 4. When I was 30, Delia Ephron and Nora wrote this show called Love, Loss, and What I Wore. And I said to them in Midtown in one of these offices, I was like, hi, Delia. Hi, Nora. I'm not really sure what the play is. I'm not a big theater guy, although I've seen Amy and Asscat on stage. But really, I'm having some relationship problems, and I feel like you guys might be able to help if that's okay. They did. I broke up with that guy, and Nora said to me, Natasha, I know you're in Heartburn, but have you ever read it? And she handed me a copy. And I was like, holy Toledo, who is this human being?
Yeah.
Because beyond this sort of image of sort of clean, comprehensible images and jokes and a giant, like the heart and blood and guts on the page of the heartbreak.
I
and
just
the genius.
reread Heartburn recently a few years ago, and exactly that, Tosh, like being reminded of how much Nora put herself in that story, like really let us into her at a time when those kind of characters felt paper thin. Like she was like a blood and guts character in that piece. It was so amazing to read it again.
It was just so it totally was like a tectonic plate shifting moment. And also I'm somebody who's always had this weird chip on my shoulder that I need to shake. It's no longer serving around like being a tough guy or being bad or cursing. That's really me being, I'm just nervous. I'm just, an introvert, extrovert kind of weirdo who's like making it up as I go, a lifelong improviser with no training, winging it, you know what I mean? And kind of like relying on the people that I'm like, are like a drowning man sees as a life preserver. Like, who the fuck is Amy Poehler? Like, I think that's safe. You know what I mean? And so for me, Nora was, she's a giant.
And so, she was safe. She was safe for you?
It was also that it changed my worldview around, I'm a scholarship kid on the Upper East Side. So the family had some money, then they lost it. Then by the time it's me and my mom, alone, she's divorced now on the Upper East Side, and I'm 10. I'm going to this private school on the Upper East Side, but we're in the wrong side of the track. Sort of, I'm not sure if you're familiar with a film called Slums of Beverly Hills. I might be in it, but in Manhattan, that takes place in Los Angeles. In Manhattan, you also have on the Upper East Side, the good apartments are the ones on Park Avenue, and within this space that's really rarefied air. In the fringes of it, though, you have other people there. So I had this beef with Nora because I imagined her as real Upper East Side. She retrained my mind to understand that no kid, she would say to me, just stay in the house and call the housekeeper, smoke outside. She would remind me that her parents were screenwriters. Oscar Levant, who's extraordinary, Google, he was the neighbor. That the history of complex humanity is so embedded into the DNA and the fabric of like every single individual on this earth, you know, let alone every person that presents well on camera or something. It really healed something, I think, to have her take me under, you know, Rosie O'Donnell would say to me back then, like, you're not the irregular sheets in the discount bin at Bed Bath & Beyond. You know what I mean? Like, not to be married to that. Tyne Daly would say to me on that production, don't be a part of the walking wounded, you know, be a foot soldier. Like, let go of this story that there's some sort of inner brokenness that you must heal, that you must be constantly apologizing for by being chaotic or taking up space or being confused, you know, you're not running on time. Oh my, all this kind of stress and anxiety that manifests in these ways that people don't understand. Like you, Nora, you know what I mean? Like with these kind of like tethers for me of it's also okay to be sane and successful and well.
Yes. And boy, were we sane, successful, and well when we did Russian Doll. Right?
I mean, ish, you know? And I would say that we were insane in all the right ways. Like,
yeah. I think that's a good way to say it. I mean, we did a show called Old Soul, which was kind of like a straightforward sitcom loosely based on the idea that kind of what you were talking about is that at the time you were feeling like you were surrounded by older people who you were learning something from, who were kind of like surrounding you and taking care of you, and you felt like an old soul. And that was an idea that we made a show that didn't go, but what a cast in that show. If we can just talk about it.
You tell it.
Okay. If I can remember, it was Ellen Burstyn, Richard Benjamin, Fred Willard, Rita Moreno,
Marla
Gibbs.
And Greta Lee.
The great Greta Lee.
Yeah. Nikki Cat Kroll with a little cameo.
Yes. And
Nick Thune.
And it was so, and I remember that experience. It was kind of like, you know, one of the many times when you're doing this job, you have a heartbreak of like, is it going to go? Is it going the way it's supposed to go? Are we feeling the way we're supposed to feel? But I remember working with you on that was the beginning of me realizing a couple things. First, that you can do almost anything. You are able to produce and write and direct. You also you have this thing that the camera just loves you, Natasha. Like it, I guess when I talk about an electricity that you have, the camera is like, mommy. The camera's like, there's my mommy, there's my mommy. So watching you perform was incredible. It was a lesson in acting. And then just that I wanted to do more. I wanted to work with you more again. And then we kind of cannibalized that idea a little bit, but just kept talking about the bigger ideas of what it's like to kind of feel like you live your life over and over again, or if you get the kind of reset, what would you do with it, and what does that feel like? And yeah, tell people what you remember about those beginning days of Russian Doll.
To synthesize, I guess, somewhat, it's interesting that the way I remember Old Soul into Russian Doll is, okay, we met each other around this ASCAT time, right? I sort of saw you. You were like this tiny little giant, the funniest, sexiest, like hot little blonde number who was just a freak. Like so fucking funny, Amy Poehler. Jesus Christ, you know? So quick and nimble and like an Olympian, like an acrobat, you know? Because it was just the way you throw yourself around that stage and come up with new ideas all at once. And then, of course, SNL, all those years, backstage, but just kind of not that tight. We saw each other at some premiere at MoMA. We kind of had a laugh. Next day, you call me. I'm in bed watching NYPD Blue, falling in love with Dennis Franz. No, the phone's never ringing. And you say, as long as I've known you've always been the oldest girl in the world, should we make a show about it? Sure. Old Soul. And then the way I remember it is when that didn't go, we were crushed.
Yeah.
And we got into a car. And I remember, I think I was driving, the windows were rolled up, I was chain smoking, and you didn't like that. And you said—
I still don't.
Natasha, I know the show didn't go, it's really hard. But picture if you will, my body. No, picture for a moment. Imagine there was no network. There were no rules. There was no anything. What is the show that we would really want to make? What's the story we would really want to tell if we left all that aside, assuming we could do anything anywhere? And that's how we started getting to this idea of you could go to the same party over and over again. You could take everybody home thinking that something outside of self would heal you, would change you, would fix you. But no matter which iteration of this sort of exterminating angel Benoit reference journey you would take, or the Doug Hofstadter version would be I'm a Strange Loop or whatever, parallel path, you would still find yourself at home with you and your unresolved stuff if you didn't really face it head on. And the real goal of Russian Doll is, you had always described it as it was the search for the littlest doll inside of you that is the truth of who you are.
Then we do Russian Doll, big hit. What a hit. Tosh.
What a hit. How
what
fun.
What a hit. Wasn't
you
it
remember
fun?
the Emmys day? Oh my gosh, all those nominations after all that work.
So fun. I mean, I got to tell you something. I've never been on a show that was a hit in real time. I've been in a show that was a slow, people love that. It was a slow climb.
Yeah.
And I've been on a lot of things that didn't pop. And I've been in films that I felt like I added and contributed to, but didn't really feel like was truly something that felt like I was a major part of. And to be on a show that is a hit I recommend.
Yo, strong recommend.
Feels great.
It's wild. Mm-hmm. And the idea that was the thing that people responded to was shocking. Yeah. American Pie was the number one movie in the world or something. It didn't feel like it was that close to the bone. It wasn't like I'm telling you about, trauma and mommy issues and being self-destructive and wanting to take yourself out in this life and the need to move from a nihilistic lens that's placed on you through an epigenetic footprint that is the roadmap of each human being that one must forgive themselves for, that may lead to sort of nihilistic, self-obsessed behavior that's self-destructive, transitioning into connection with another human being who's probably a stranger through like a small act of kindness, in a big city, and that's the solution to your sort of metaphorical dying over and over again, insanity defined, making the same mistakes, thinking you're going to have a different outcome. Shocking that's what connected.
Mm-hmm. And it was funny.
Hard fun.
I mean, that feeling too, I just have to contextualize. That was a time pre-COVID when Netflix was taking, I think, big chances and real chances on full season orders and artists and being like, yeah, I like your, I like the package that you got. I trust you, Amy. I trust you, Natasha. I trust you, Leslie Headland.
Yeah.
You're coming in with an idea here, make it and go
I think it's
and
more
run
than
with
that.
it.
I think it was algorithmically. It was like Leslie Headland was sleeping with other people. There was something. I was also her movies combined with Parks and Rec, combined with, I guess, Orange is the New Black. When you put it through that at the time sauce, yielded, this is the budget for this many episodes. It's going to be a low budget thing, whatever you want to make. And it just so happened that what we wanted to make was, quantum physics comedy. And so we did.
Now, when you just brought up quantum physics, you're probably the only person I know who reads quantum physics, but only actor I know anyway, who reads quantum physics quite regularly.
I'm assuming that can't be true, but I do, I do find it very relaxing. It's sort of how I quiet the mind.
Mm-hmm.
I love things I don't understand. And over time, I've even begun to understand, some, small concepts or something. A double slit experiment is very much the kind of concept behind why Charlie and Nadia, die at the same time all the time. These are sort of...
For the one or two people listening who don't know what the double slit experiment is, what is it?
I think it's just, it's essentially the concept about what is the fabric of the universe, right? are we here? You've done acid. You're Amy Poehler.
Yeah.
You're the listeners at home. You've all done LSD or microdosing. I know what young people are into today with their mushrooms and chocolates and candy bars and gummies and whatnot.
Yeah.
But with that little feeling that you have.
Are we here?
Yeah, or even like what is, deep sleep, REM state? What's going on, right? Like what the hell is going on? Or when you close your eyes real tight and you open them and there's all little deep particles and stuff and it's a little bit trippy or weird.
Or a real pedantic version of that is like deja vu.
Sure.
Just that is
what is deja vu, right? So a lot of people are basically after the same question, which is, what is this fabric of the universe or this sort of unseen thing that we can't comprehend? Like, are we in multiple timelines? Is it, AI so advanced now that it's scraped all of our data against our will that it's actually running tests and simulations on that to actually figure out in this sort of paperclip sort of experiment type of thing of, endless iterations to discover which world we should be in for a positive outcome. Like, is any of it real? The bottom line is, in a day-to-day basis, it just doesn't fucking matter if any of this stuff exists or not, because it's basically you still got to pay your bills, you still have responsibilities, you got to show up, you got to fucking take a shower, and you got to be a person. So you can't get so lost in space, but emotionally, for the purposes of Russian Doll, it was really about, this dual timeline kind of thing, right? That Nadia and Alan were fractured in, or in season 2, it's kind of about this sort of quantum leaping, right? And it's Carlo Rovelli poses the question, why can I remember my past, but I can't remember my future? So, we used it in a storytelling device as, would I be able to forgive the experience that was grandfathered into me traumatically if I had a day to walk in their shoes and understand that, my parent came by it honestly. It wasn't on purpose, that damage done. But all these ideas about sort of like healing and science and sort of connection and the idea that two different individuals could exist in two different timelines, but be having a similar experience because they're tethered by something unknown that's connecting them and binding them is still also part of this idea of what we're talking about of like creating family and all this kind of stuff of even when you and I are not together because we're busy, I know you exist and it feels like, thank God, something like that.
Listening to you is like watching a symphony. Like the way you talk is like a bunch of instruments playing together. You have the highest aptitude for talking of almost anyone I've ever met. You're very good at talking.
Thanks, Amy. It's not my real tongue.
You got a tongue transplant? Yeah. Would you ever own a robot in your house? And if you did, what would you hope it did for you?
Let me think. So it depends. I guess the first thing that comes to mind, actually, the only thing I've been thinking about since you asked, is root beer, my dog. So I'm like, how is it helping root beer? Is it soft? Does root beer love it?
How old is root beer now?
Root beer is now 15, which is weird.
Wow.
I'm somebody that always thinks I'm going to be like, dying any second. And root beer is 15.
And for people who don't know, root beer is what kind of dog?
A Maltipoo.
Yeah.
A Rottweiler.
Yeah, a Rottweiler at
That's
heart.
what I tell people.
Yeah. And root beer is 15? Wow.
It's wild.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, she's even old for people years, let alone dog years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a sense of when you like a lot of your work deals with death? You're very open about thinking about it. You meditate on it a lot more than people I know. Do you have a sense of when you'll die?
Later today.
Oh, good. Well, then let's finish up.
I can't tell if it's going to be, that's what's so weird about the existential threat of AI. A lot of this stuff really is just from, all the Russian Doll deep dive research that I was doing along the way. And, I'd be sending you articles in all hours of the night.
Yeah.
You got to see this one, is it a simulation, Amy?
And I'm always like, I think so. I think so.
And I'm like, there's a joke in here, right? You're a professional. Where's the joke?
And I'm like, yeah. I mean, it to your point, like it's like you have to like get into the heaviness of it, and then life is a dream and nothing matters. You have to constantly flip back and forth between those two things. Yeah. To get through the day.
I think so.
What do you do? What do you do to get through the day that isn't like where you're using a ton of brain? Like, So I've been asking people, like, what is the thing right now in these times where everything is quite heavy? What do you do to check out, to zone out, to like, what do you watch or listen to? What do you do?
So, I have a swimming pool
Mhm.
and I'm a swimmer. You've seen The Swimmer with Burt Lancaster. I swim. And also like, I do some kind of like meditate. Like when I wake up, I kind of,
Do you meditate?
yeah, a little bit, like I've done the TM course but I'll just sort of sit there and I'll kind of like zone out, look at the trees, watch root beer run around, you know what I mean? And then do some laps. And then if it's a more sporty day, there might be some, reggae, Brian Eno involved, depending, like, on catching a vibe that way.
When you're swimming, can I ask you more questions about swimming? When you're swimming, what's going through your head?
I think a lot lately about, I'm just a big science person, I guess. So I think a lot about how weird it is that we're animals. So I think a lot about how weird it is that, like, I'm like, this is so amphibian. I like, those are my thoughts when I'm like, what's going on right here? What is this move? And they call it a breaststroke. And then I'll go over here and I'm thinking about Busby Berkeley or, how back in the 90s, I used to stay at the Chateau Marmont and Ann Mira of Mira and Stiller. She'd be there and she and I would do jokes where we would swim and be like, isn't LA funny? Look at us swimming like two Busby Berkeley girls, and we would try to do synchronized swimming, but it was me and Ann Mira. We didn't succeed. That's not captured anywhere. And so I'll think about that while I'm trying. It's weird they call it a breaststroke. And so what if some people do?
So what do you do to?
I do storytelling.
But your mind is still going there. Your mind, even when you're swimming, your mind is going. When does your mind?
I would say that it's probably sport fucking. So sex. So I would say that's why I'm such a, I'm always, saying, right? Like, hey guys, like, because I think, sex is a very, people like to really, consider it and give all its meaning to it. I'm a little bit more German than all that. It turns out not German at all. But I think it's like there's a physical, we are animals. It's important sort of like medicinally to quiet the mind through a third activity that reminds us, sport essentially is what I mean, athletics.
The double slit theory.
The double slut theory. And so, I would just say that swimming and, sexing.
Sexing.
And
so body stuff, like
body
stuff is what gets you, what pulls you in. I relate, like the idea of like feeling grounded in your own body.
Yeah. Do you have it in other ways?
Yeah. I relate to this feeling. Like sometimes when I'm living in my head, like I need a like pressure, like physical pressure, whether it's like swimming or like physical touch, something that like reminds me to get back into my body.
Yeah. And it's also like, the big one, obviously. Like the reason that I'm so in love with you and Fred, Maya, whatever, has really always been about laughing.
Yeah.
That hard.
Yeah.
Is an you're talking to somebody who's done every drug in the history of the world, including Dust at the Film Forum. I just had New York side of the seat, Dust. And it's shocking.
Yeah.
That literally like hard laughing where you will forget where you are and go to a third space. Like I'm saying, where you're just like, is this even fucking the fabric of reality? I don't even remember. I can't remember what I was pissed off about.
Yes. I hear you. It is
major.
It's major. It's major medicine.
Major.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, I'll laugh hard and I'm like, oh my gosh, I thought I was depressed. I just haven't been doubled over laughing in like, a week. What happened?
When's the last time you've laughed really hard? What have you laughed at hard lately?
What
are you laughing at right now? What's making you laugh?
I had this hang recently. Sean Lennon's a musician and an old friend of mine. And he said, come meet this polymath. And then, I went home and...
Your voice is getting so little.
Gentleman, and he was there. And then we kind of dissected the polymaths, the quote-unquote polymaths' theories about the universe. And we sort of were able to break them down to like a moment in time where he developed a resentment against a science program, and that's what his sort of theory of everything was actually based on. We were doubled over laughing so hard.
You observed something about someone in real time that you were,
And we were just laughing so hard because the idea that it was sort of couched in, out here, we meet a lot of people that are, I love when you say, enough with the geniuses, too many geniuses.
Oh, I mean,
talk about that, please.
The word genius is thrown around a lot.
Yeah.
And it's oppressive. The word genius is oppressive.
I mean, and it's kind of,
and also it's used primarily for men. I would say like maybe double up on calling women geniuses and maybe dial it back a little bit.
But I think you also say that like enough with the geniuses. Sometimes people just need to get to work because geniuses have like
absolutely
self kind of like obsessed concepts or whatever, and
concepts don't pay. Concepts don't pay the bills.
They don't get pen to paper.
No,
you got to kick out a draft, babe.
That's right. And I mean, you can't. You can sit in your think tank forever, but like chop, you got to make something, and you got to fail.
Yes,
you got to get out there and try. Okay.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
got one more question for you.
Okay, doctor. Love you so much.
Forever. But I got one more question. We should talk about Poker Face.
What a gift that you're doing this, because it means that we get to hang out. I mean,
I know.
Really, that
was my favorite thing about today is I get to see you.
Yeah, I mean, like that's what's so funny about growing up and being these show people. I think that over time we learn, unless you're making something with your friends. Yeah, you really don't get to see him.
No, that's why I work, is so that I can see my friends.
Also, I get a real boner in a non-weird way. I know you're a taken, you're spoken for, ma'am. But, I get the platonic boner when I see you on set with like your fucking, what are these called? Earbuds or some shit?
I call them cans.
Oh, cans. There's a real term for them. And, directing, producing, like I love seeing, and I love direct. I love being at the peak of those powers and watching my friends do it. I'm like, oh, this is who you are, Janixa Bravo. You know what I mean?
But you directed Poker Face.
Yeah.
Tell me about that experience, because it's so great. You're incredible in it. And what was your experience directing on that show? And in general, what's your experience? How much do you like it?
Yeah, I mean, I love directing. I know you do too.
Yeah. What do you love about it?
It just feels like I'm in my right place. Like my feet are where they're supposed to be. And if you're asking me about like what quiets my mind, it is, I don't know if it's the same for you, but it is like, that's when I hear the click. So much is happening that is so in the present moment that finally I'm like in my body and hear the click. And they also, when you're an actor, they're kind of like, do you need to pee-pee? And when you're a director, you're always just like, I'm in my 40s. Like, I think if I had to pee, I would, now that you mention it, I'm in my 40s. I totally got to pee. Sure, thanks for reminding me. But when you're a director, nobody says you have to pee-pee. And when you go pee-pee, they don't say, are you going to come back? They know you're coming back. You're making the movie. And when you're at the when you're an actor, you're kind of sitting there and you're like, why is everyone so stressed? I'm a codependent. I can feel it. I'm like an empathy guy. I can read a room. But when you're behind the monitor, you're like, I know why we're stressed. It's because we're looking at the one-liner for tomorrow with the first AD, and so-and-so missed their connecting flight, out of Austin. So it's not about that.
Is it as simple as control? Because what you're talking about is like feeling like you got to hand over your control to other people, or be able to be in control of like how you shape your day, your project, your own experience, the time you get to go to the bathroom.
I think that that's this weird ancillary bonus. I think that for me, what it's really about is like being this like 360 like filmmaking machine that is actually getting involved with like lenses and camera positions and angles and what's in the frame and what's not in the frame and what is the actor doing and how we need to on the fly change that line of dialogue to reflect that, or because we're running out of light, so therefore we're going to reposition this whole thing. And it's like I just feel so
in control.
No, like I feel like 360 activated at like what I was like made to do. As a kind of, yes, it is in control as like a conductor, but it's a conductor of like a frame. And it's also that like, I think what I hate being I don't like being famous. I think it's whack. Like I've been a character actor a New York character actor for like, 40 years and then like famous for 6. It's super fucking weird. Like people treat you all like you're I'm like, I'm a person. I'm just winging it too. But when you're a director, you're with, what's amazing about Poker Face especially is like, I am with the crew. Like, in other words, like, me and, Rob Harlow, the Dolly Grip, we're making the show together. Like, I fucking love that dude because the cast is all rotating. So the cast is rotating, directors are rotating, writers are rotating. So it just feels like I'm one with the camera as I should be, and really discovered that directing in Russian doll. A real peace comes over my body where I'm like inside of the material as an artist instead of sort of sitting outside of it waiting for somebody to tell me, this child, you did a good job or not. It's kind of like, it's very alive. Like I start walking like Charlie Chaplin because it's so many things are happening at once and it's very funny. How do you feel when you do it?
That's exactly, you said it beautifully, which is the idea of being in community, in creativity. Creativity in community is what directing feels like. It feels like your people are looking to you to have answers, but the answers lie within all the people making the piece. That's it.
And it's really fun. Like, the thing is that acting is so lonely. Like,
yes.
Clea and I used to do this funny thing. She was dating a drummer. She was living in Topanga. She had like 6 wiener dogs. But, her girlfriend at the time would be in there drumming, practicing for the band. And Clea and I would sit out there with those wiener dogs in Topanga, and we'd be like, so fuck, we're actors? Well, how come we don't get to do band practice? Should we jam? Should we act? That's what's so weird about acting and writing, at least in draft, not in the room. They're very lonely sports.
That's right.
But directing is a team sport.
I cannot wait for Poker Face. I cannot wait for that new season. I love watching you act. I love listening to your brain. I love seeing you in person. I love being around you, Tosh. I miss you too, bud. And I love being part of the weather system that is you. I love being able to get close to you any chance I can.
I'm always so ashamed, as if it's a series of weather reports. And like the big event in life is to just be like, no waves at all.
No waves. And also I want you to know I kept this necklace safe the entire time. Because I was nervous about it going missing. But here it is for you.
That's so crazy because you're a known kleptomaniac, ma'am.
I didn't replace it with like fake diamonds while we were talking or anything. I would never do that.
That's a weird move.
I love you, Tashi.
I love you, Amy.
Thanks for doing this. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, man, Natasha, thank you for coming. And you're just the best. And, Natasha talked about so many things, but she mentioned something that I wanted to just remind listeners about as we plunge into our polar plunge at the end of the show. And that is the book Heartburn by Nora Ephron. It's an incredible deep dive character study into the breakup of a marriage. And it also was made into a film with Meryl Streep and Jack Nicholson. I would advise reading the book and then watching the movie, but you can do it either way, but both are just these beautiful pieces of art and really honest storytelling. And Heartburn, so good, still so good. Nora, so good. Thank you for everything that you gave us. All right, well, thanks so much for listening to Good Hang, and we'll see you soon. Bye. You've been listening to Good Hang. The executive producers for this show are Bill Simmons, Jenna Weiss-Berman, and me, Amy Poehler. The show is produced by The Ringer and Paper Kite. For The Ringer, production by Jack Wilson, Kat Spillane, Kaya McMullen, and Alea Zanaris. For Paper Kite, production by Sam Green, Joel Lovell, and Jenna Weiss-Berman. Original music by Amy Miles.